It's called How to Stay Calm. So, guys, this is an area that I struggle with. I'd like to elevate myself, so I'm looking for some feedback here. So, I'm looking for advice on how to stay calm in situations where I know that I'm correct or right 100%. And even questioning it makes zero sense, but the other person fails to see it. I generally tend to shut down the conversations because for me, it's easier to not deal with BS and explain the obvious to people who fail to see even their own lies. But I realize it's not the best way to go about it. I see examples about this on the Ladies Night podcast. I've watched a couple episodes and I realized that I would not be able to sit out a conversation like some of those I've seen. And I respect a lot about how guys like Moff and Rich, TC, and Spencer can stay calm and centered around the logical points, even if they have to explain it many times. I've never seen Rich lose his temper, and it shows with these women. Just using this as examples. I think that I've improved a little bit, but I'm still not where I should be. What advice do you have?
Well, first of all, I do have a temper, but I wouldn't call it a temper. I call it a swift reaction to bullshit. And I usually reserve it for times when it's absolutely necessary. I learned in the last couple of years that it's often crueler, especially to those that you're trying to have these difficult conversations with, to be cool with them, especially women. Like women try to push your buttons, get under your skin. They want to get an emotional reaction out of you. Any reaction, especially an emotional one, is better than nothing or coolness. They hate coolness. So remember, it's always crueler to be cool. You just got to get, you got to get into stoicism, man. Like I remember when I was like a younger guy, I used to get road rage. I don't know about you, man, but that notion of road rage, like sort of like came up when I was probably in my 20s. Like they started talking about road rage, and there's a chapter in my book about managing your Fs and only dispensing the Fs for things that are truly F worthy, and realizing that it's like a source of energy, or you've only got so many Fs to dispense in a day. And if you're just throwing, anger and energy at everything, for engagement, then you don't value it. Like anything you throw around like that has no value. And people don't take you seriously when you snap and you have a temper. It's just one of those things that you have to get good at. Like the older you get, just get better at, controlling your emotions. It's one of the things that I've learned from lawyers is being able to control your emotions. You guys know my ex-wife is a lawyer. A lot of my friends are lawyers. Lawyers are very, very good at having conversations in acrimonious type of conditions where you'd think there'd be some yelling and chest beating and D-swinging and that sort of stuff. And it's like, just takes practice, man. Just takes practice.
Yeah, my take on this is it's always about problem solving. Getting mad, getting angry, getting frustrated. Are any of those moving you closer to the outcome that you want? There was a situation recently where, I book a lot of Verbos. I book a lot of Airbnbs. When we do trips, I put everything in my name. So I take on all the risk. I pay for it. I put it on my credit card, and then guys pay me in the back end. But I'm hosting some guys down here in Tampa for a trip in the next couple of weeks. And, we booked the house, and it's hard to find a place where you can sleep 12 to 15 guys comfortably, where dudes don't have to, be in twin bunk beds or have on pull-out couches and things like that. So found a decent place, paid the money, and the host texted me like a week later, or a couple weeks later, says, "Oh, we accidentally overbooked you, and we can't." It was like a glitch in the system. And I said, "Okay, like go ahead and cancel." Like, "Oh, we can't cancel it on you because we would get penalized by Verbo. So you have to cancel it." And then on Verbo, it goes, "Well, if you cancel it, you're not going to get your money back." Like, well, something's fishy. Like, this isn't my problem. This isn't my mistake. And in that moment, and then she's this woman, the host, is like texting me, trying to say like, "Oh, here's a couple other properties." And, I'm pissed and I'm frustrated, but it's like, okay, fine. Like, it's not going to solve anything. It's not going to get me the house back. I need to get on my laptop. And within 20 minutes, I spent, found a new house, better house. Yeah, it cost a little bit more money, but that was fine, but got it solved. And, I wanted to rip into this woman and say like, "This is unacceptable. Like, this is not our problem." But I fixed the issue, and guess what? I wasn't mad anymore. I was like, okay, no problem. All good. So understand, like, when you're mad about this kind of stuff, like your anger about these kind of things, and when you're having conversations with these people, it's a little bit of a different situation. But man, you have to ask yourself, why bother? And it comes with practice, right? It absolutely comes with practice. But you get to a point where Jack Donovan put out a great article recently about honor and about guys that are in your honor circle. And when you are allowing somebody that's not in your honor circle to have any judgments against you or your life or try to argue about this, you're basically bestowing upon them the right to do so. If you take their criticism seriously, you're basically crowning them and saying, you're part of this circle. I take your opinion seriously. And you just don't have to do that. Right. So, takes practice. You very rarely are going to win over people by blowing up and being emotional and things like that. And like, I've had my moments on ladies' night. Like, I'm not a perfect saint. Everybody knows that. But you realize that it's not getting you closer to the outcome that you want. It's not going to get you any closer to solving your problem, unless solving the problem is like, let's see who can get the most mad. But, very rarely is that going to be something that makes any sense.
Yeah. Just one more thing I was thinking about. It's okay to get mad. Anger is a legitimate response in the face of an injustice. Totally fine. Reserve it for when it's useful, like when it leverages you to a better position. More often than not, you're just pissing into the wind. Like, you're not doing anything with it. It's just spinning tires. It's like smoke. You're just making all this commotion and stuff like that. It's like, you use anger to your advantage. And if you're going to make a theatrical display about it, you should get your way. You should win the argument. And it should be like one of those things like, wow, never seen Rich do that before. Must be serious. And they fucking pay attention, sort of thing. That's how it goes for me anyway.
Yeah. And if you're always flipping out, then no one's going to then it's like, oh, this is just par for the course. Yeah. But if you're like this 80% of the time, 90% of the time, and then you see it go up to 10, it's like, oh, wow, something's different. Something got set off. Maybe it's time to clue in and pay attention. So yeah, that makes sense.
All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.